Welcome back to another squirrely review. This one was requested a long time ago. It took me a while to get to it, but it's finally here. Today we're going to talk about Alencia, one of the best bruisers in the game, in RTA especially. She's all over the place. So as always, we'll talk about her skills, her builds, a PvP showcase, and then we'll summarize this video. Let's get started. Alright, so Alencia's skills. Her S1 is pretty basic, has a chance to defense break. At max molas, it's 75%, so pretty good chance. And if you soul burn it, it goes to 100% and turns it into a 2-turn defense break instead of a 1-turn defense break. That's about it for her first skill. Her second skill is kind of what makes her special, like most heroes. She has a 25% chance, or at max mola, you have to max mola her, a 50% chance to grant her Mind's Eye when she's attacked. Now, what Mind's Eye does is, when you'll get this proc, it'll look like a buff on her, and if she has Mind's Eye, her damage output goes through the roof, because after her regular S1, she'll use her secondary move, Trample, and it does a lot of damage, especially if you landed the defense break, because then you'll land the Trample on a defense broken target. Also, it reduces the cooldown of her S3 by 1 turn, so it makes her S3 rotate faster. And the damage dealt increases proportional to her max health. That's the same with all of her abilities, so generally you want to stack high HP on her. Now, her S3 Genesis is the move that makes her extremely good in RTA and other forms of content as well. People underestimate the defense buff. Increased defense is one of the best buffs in the game. Increases your entire team's defense by 60%. I mean, if you use Crow, you know how good defense buff is. But the thing that's special about Alencia is she also dispels all the enemy's team's buffs. Now, generally, you can't dispel something like a Soul Weaver because they're running high effect resist, and you're not going to run that much effectiveness on Alencia. She's very stat hungry, but still, against DPSs, you're probably going to strip them, and stripping attack buffs and putting up your own defense buff, the amount of difference in that damage mitigation is absolutely enormous, and we'll see that in the PvP showcase. So that's about it for her skills. Let's go ahead and talk about her builds. Alright, so now let's talk about how to build this Grandma Dragon. So, she's an extremely stat-hungry hero. Realistically, she needs pretty much everything except effect resist. So you could kind of, anything that's Ken gear, you could stick it on her. But basically attack, don't worry about attack. You shouldn't have any attack on her at all. You'll notice I have 2100. If I could, I'd drop some of these attack stats on some of my gear and put it into health. Her HP scaling on her moves is very good. Her attack scaling is not that great, so you really want to stack HP. You get most bang for the buck out of that. Defense, you probably want at least 1200. I aimed for a little bit higher because I like my Alencia to be super tanky. Health, you want an absolute minimum of 20k. You probably want even more. I've seen like 26, 27k Alencias, but those are usually running Alencia's Wrath. We'll talk about artifacts later. Crit chance, it depends. I'm running close to 100%. This last 1% is killing me here. But generally, you either want as close to 100% as possible, or you want to be lower and use Alencia's artifact to bridge that gap. Crit damage, I have 222. You really want to aim for like 250 plus, but I have that because I'm running Draco Plate right now. So in effectiveness, mine is very low effectiveness. Again, you're not going to be able to debuff something like a Ruel, like a PvP geared Ruel with Alencia, unless you stack effectiveness and neuter all her other stats. I would generally say either go no effectiveness or try to go around like 30-40. That will counteract the random like 20-30 effect resist that DPSers will have just because their gear rolled weird. So you probably do want around 20-30 effectiveness. Other than that, don't bother. You're not going to dispel people running high effect resist anyway. Artifacts, there's a wide variety of artifacts people use. I prefer Draco Plate because it gives her a built-in adamant while also increasing her critical hit damage by 30%. A lot of people will be running Alencia's artifact. If I could find the damn thing, I don't even... Alright, so let's switch over to artifact journal so I can actually find it. A lot of people will run Alencia's artifact on her because it allows you to gear Alencia with only 60% crit and focus on more crit damage. Problem is, it takes 20 stacks to get you up to that 40%. I believe it's 40% at max limit break, I'm not sure. And so for the first few turns, she doesn't have 100% crit. Also, this is a 5-star artifact, and I'm sure that all of you will max limit break it. So, I prefer Draco Plate overall. Damage mitigation plus damage output. I also occasionally see people put her on Durandal. I don't really think that's a great choice, but, you know, if you have no better option, you can use it. Another one I see that's quite common is Hellcutter. It's kind of like Alencia's Wrath, except the effect is removed after they attack. But still, I mean, if you get like 5 people to go before, it's still like 20% crit or something that you'll get. That's usually enough, and you also get a bonus of getting attack up. Although, like I said before, her attack scaling is not that great. So those are your artifact options. You could play around with other ones if you want, but generally the ones I see are either on Alencia's Wrath or Yox's Wrath, however you say it, Draco Plate, Hellcutter, or occasionally they're on Portrait, because Alencia's S3 can actually do damage. Occasionally, like the ones that have like 280, 290 crit damage, they will be on Portrait for extra burst damage. So that's it for Alencia builds. Let's move on to the PvP showcase. Alright, so I think for the Alencia showcase, the best thing to do is show her in her best content, which is RTA. She is by far better in RTA than she is in the other forms of content like Guild War, Arena, although she's useful in those as well. So here we go. We see that Crow put up the defense buff, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to step on all of them. Alencia screams at them. She's a very loud lady. And bam, look, they lost all their buffs. And this is why Alencia is so strong. And now my whole team has a defense buff here, so you're going to see that they do barely any damage to me. So I'm going to open up with this. Alright, let's see SSB's counter. Couldn't even break the FCC barrier on anybody, and this is why Alencia is so good. The defense buff, for newer players, they underappreciate it, but it's actually one of the strongest buffs in the game. My entire team has unbuffable pretty much, but I'm going to do this anyway, because it's not going to come back up for a while. I'm just going to do it to get damage out. Now the Crow explodes. Another SSB counter. Again, barely any damage. And the Crow is apparently on Holy Sacrifice. Now the Cabron's going to try and kill someone. Probably, oh, he kills Arbiter. That's fine. He comes back with Alexa's basket. Let's go ahead and burn this. Droop. So you see that? Alencia stripped their team, neutering their damage output, and look, there we go. He yields immediately. And that's the power of Alencia. She can strip all the other team's buffs, making it very hard for them to put up defensive or offensive buffs. She does a good amount of damage, and she makes your team super tanky for 2 turns with that defense buff, and that's why Alencia is so good. Alright, so let's wrap this video up the same way as always. Is Alencia good? Absolutely, and actually she's a hero I was wrong about because I was kind of iffy on her when she first came out, but I was proven wrong because she's one of the strongest heroes in the game. So PvE, she's pretty trash, don't bother using her for PvE, but for PvP, let's go over my ratings. So Arena offense, I'll give her a B. I mean, she's weird on Arena offense. I mean, she's still very strong, but usually, like, you're not going to bring her just for her Dispel, and if you want to make some kind of stall auto offense, SSB is generally a better choice than Alencia. So Arena offense, I'm giving her a B because I'm sure you could slot her in, but she doesn't deserve any better than that because usually there's a better option. If you want to Dispel, use Bassar. If you want some auto team, use SSB. So Arena defense, I'm going to give her an A+. She's very solid on arena defense because of the damage mitigation she provides. Because you have to remember that because she dispels and provides increased defense, she mitigates damage in two ways, because she gives 60% defense to your whole team, plus she dispels attack buffs and stuff from the attacking team. So it's very annoying because if they're running like a attack buff offense like DN, they have to wait the first turn until Alencia uses the S3 first. And then she's very good against SSB auto comps as well, which is why a lot of people use her, because a strong Alencia can one-shot SSB if the defense break and mind's eye procs. So arena defense, I'll give her an A+. The one weakness is you probably have to pair her with something like a Lilius. Otherwise, like Bazaar offense, if you get unbuffable on you, it'll be a big problem. Guild Wars offense, she's definitely not meta, but I'm going to give her an A there just because I've been using her on Guild Wars offense. If you don't believe me, check out my Guild Wars series. And honestly, she's been quite good because she's shockingly tanky and can do a lot of damage. So you're not going to cleave with her or anything, but for kind of sustained comps against zero healer defenses, she actually does all right. And she's actually decent K-Ron bait because I found that even K-Ron struggle to burst down Alencia's. Guild Wars defense, I'm going to give her like a B. She's still very strong, but it's kind of weird. I'm actually running her on my defense right now as of the recording of this video, but I think a strong cleaver or a Bazaar or something, like those teams might nuke Alencia down, no problem, and it would be struggle. You're going to have to pair her with Lilius, but something like Lilius Alencia X is probably an excellent cleave target, so not the best option there. RTA, she gets an S+. We'll just give her an S because that's not a real rating. But she's amazing in RTA to the extent that when I would verse like legend players, it was not surprising for people to first pick Alencia. Now in general, they would try to lock in like a knight first, like Crow was a very common first pick. But Alencia first pick was not uncommon because people don't want to deal with her. And if you see someone ban Bazaar, a lot of the times they're going to go DN Alencia right away. With more debuffers coming out, there's going to be more options. But that was like a standard opener back then. And yeah, very strong in RTA. Defense buff, extremely important in RTA. Full team dispel, extremely important. And she has kill potential and she's very tanky. She's just an excellent hero, and if you're lucky enough to have imprints for her, the defense imprint is actually very strong. Or you could self-imprint her to make her even hit harder and have more life. So anyways, that's my review of Alencia. If you have her, absolutely build her. Unless you're not interested in PvP. If you don't care about PvP, you could skip her. But if you're interested in breaking into the top tiers of RTA, she's a must-have. Her one weakness is you are going to have to plus 15 her to make the most use out of her, so she is very Mola hungry, but that's kind of a trait with any real bruiser. All their skills like damage modifiers, you're going to kind of need that to get the most potential out of them. So anyways, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Let me know who you guys want me to review next, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time, boys, peace out.